Should I stop wearing the same stuff? I mean, the same outer garb. Deep philosophical questions. So there's a two-step progression regarding fear here in the realm. The people that are scared of themselves, the people that have been convinced that they don't really have the right to be here. Like, how dare you have the audacity to exist? Get on your knees. Those ones, once they've been convinced that they don't deserve to exist, and they become convinced that there is a place where they do deserve to exist, but it's not here, then they want to be there because they feel like they would like to deserve to exist. And then since they've come to this revelation that they don't deserve to exist, but there is a place where they do deserve to exist, then like humans do, humans like helping each other, no matter what situation they're in, no matter what sort of mind tricks are happening or whatever. Entities aside. So humans like helping each other, so the ones that are convinced that they don't deserve to exist, but that there is a place that they do deserve to exist, okay, well, they're gonna warn you about it, because when somebody gets an idea in their mind, we generalize it out to the rest of the population, because that's what we do. So they're gonna tell you, look, I know it might feel like everything's okay here, but it's not, okay? It's not okay. Just feel, this is not the place you want to be. There is a place where you do want to be, but it's not this place. Okay, so that's like the premise. And then the first step, if you are a traditional, literal interpreting biblical person or Christian, then you started off most likely hearing about hell and, being horrified at the concept, and knowing that you would never ever want to be there. Not even for a second, let alone eternity, right? So, assuming that this place does exist, you don't want to go there. Like, nobody wants to go there. So, if you have become fully convinced that this place does exist, then you're going to warn your family about it, You're not going to just let them get ferried off to a lake of fire for all of eternity, right? So you're going to try and help them. See, because the people that have obtained this sort of peace of mind, they feel the need to share it, and they're going to share it with you, because your family or your friends, so they got to share it with you. And so that's what they do. And so that's step one. Step one is And they don't threaten with hell just because like they're being an asshole. It's not like that. They're threatening with hell because they kind of feel that earlier on in their lives there was a time where it didn't seem so plausible or so kind of certain. You know, the salvation path didn't seem so certain as it does now. So when they, you know, when you're like telling them, oh, you know, I'm fine, you know, thanks for offering, and you know, this and that, but I'm kind of okay where I'm at, then they're like, well, no, you're not, because you just don't know right now. You don't see, like, you're blind, and I can see. So they're helping you in their mind. So that's step one, is kind of threats of hell. It's like, and again, it's not some vindictive thing on their behalf. It's just they want to help. And of course, you know, people strengthen their own beliefs by getting others to join. You know, there is a thing for might is right. There is a power in numbers. That's true. So there's that as well. And then, okay, so that's step one, threats of hell. Now, at some point, there's the possibility for just really mentally, at least, diving into this possibility, right? This possibility of, even if it's not a literal lake of fire where like your senses are being assaulted for all of eternity, and even if it's not all of eternity, it's still a horrifying concept. Even if it's not that, if it's just some place where some type of torture is happening to you, either for 10 years, 10,000 years, or all of eternity, which your mind can't even grasp, it's still really, really bad, okay? And so if a person at some point along their moseying really fully looks into it, then they kind of realize that it just seems like really mean. Like that seems really mean. So if even if you take the creator hypothesis and you take God as being God and omnipotent and all-knowing and all this, and us as his children, okay, all you have to do if you have kids is compare yourself to your child and say, would there be ever any circumstance in which I would send my child into eternal torture? You just ask yourself that question and then relate that micro situation to the macro situation, and then possibly you would say, okay, maybe things have been misrepresented to me. So then the hell threat loses some of its, a little bit of its oomph at that point. So that's step one. And it's a fear thing that you hopefully can get past at some point. And then there's another step to it, and that's regarding the fact that in a duality system, the thing is the same as its opposite. So if you threaten with one side of a duality, you can threaten with the other side of it. So if threats of hell don't work anymore, then you can be threatened with the lack of heaven, right? So a more sophisticated approach to the threat is, if you don't do such and so, make yourself proper in the eyes of God, get saved, talk to Jesus, whatever, don't do any of these things correctly and properly, okay, maybe you're not going to go burn in a lake of fire for all of eternity, but guess what? You're going to be cut off from the source of all life for all of eternity. Whatever you consider to be God, if you consider yourself as a creation of God, and you consider God to be your father of sorts, your caretaker, then the second level threat is if you don't do what is proper and correct, and nobody really knows what that is, but that's what makes it such a good threat. If you don't do what is proper and correct, you're going to be cut off from your Father for all of eternity. Okay? That's the second level threat. That's a little bit more palatable if you're actually considering, being subjected to these types of punishments or whatever you want to call them. It's a little more palatable than, at least thought-wise, than, burning in a lake of fire forever. But it's still not great, Again, take the analogy of just a human father and his son, and the father says, if you don't do X, Y, Z, well, basically, you're never going to see me ever again. Ever again. And when I say never, I mean never. I mean, like, really, really never. So that's the second level threat. And, you can't get past that one until you do the inner search and the inner work and all of this stuff, and you find out that the life is in you, and you don't need to go anywhere to find it. So then once you find that, then second level threat doesn't work anymore either. So those are the two levels. There's really not, that's it. Like, there's no more levels to it, to the threat system anyway. I mean, as far as keeping you in projection mode and out of the present moment, it's a 2-tier level system. And if you get past those, then your ability to stay present is magnified greatly. And yeah, the eternal part too, like the eternal bit, that is kind of necessary. Although my dad has even kind of reneged on that part a bit, because I've had I've had it out with him so many times about this subject, and every time I tried to get him to answer the question, why would a father do blah 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 to his kid, he would say, well, it's not him doing it to you, it's you. You're the one making the choice. You're choosing to be selfish. That's usually what it boils down to. You're choosing to be selfish. And when you're being selfish, then you're not with God. And he said, the idea is not that you're going to be in hell forever because you have to, because there's literally no way out, or that you're going to be separated from God forever because you have to, or because there's literally no way back to him. He said, you're in those situations because you choose to remain in those situations. So, when I heard him say that, and I respect his opinions and his thoughts and his feelings about the matter. He's been doing his path for a really long time, and he's actually adapted himself. He's not just been exactly the same the whole time. He's not been just stuck in one way the whole time. So I respect when he tells me something. So when he said that, then I was like, oh well, it's totally fine then. We can all just take a load off, because then once the all of eternity part is gone, then it's like, basically, yeah, you're allowed to make mistakes, and shit happens, and say sorry and move on, or stuff like that, and the whole thing, basically, the fear aspect will fall away even more if you consider it from that angle. So that's like the 2-tiered threat system, which is eternal damnation, tier 1, eternal separation from God, tier 2, and then the third level of it, if you consider this some sort of chronological order, I mean, if you're trying to like basically not be in that fear mode all the time, the third level of it is the adaptation of the eternal part to its choice always, even if you're in that situation, even if you find yourself in something that seems like hell, even if you find that it feels like you're separated from God, well, you still have the choice to move back in that direction of divinity or of, you know, unconditional love or whatever you consider God to be, and you're never in irrevocable hell situation. But like my dad said, and I believe this myself, if you truly believe something, like I really am just going to be burning forever, and I deserve to be separated from God forever, like as long as you hold on to that belief, then I'm pretty sure you can just stay there, because that's how it is until you decide otherwise or think otherwise. I'm getting Reiki today. I'm pretty happy about that. It's been a month. I hope everybody's doing well. Be nice to each other. And yeah. Bye.